What we imagine we live in. Big ballin', big body, big business. We gon' have all we envision. Big ballin', big body, big business.
Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Talisa with H.E.R Investments, and on this channel we talk about all the different creative ways that you can purchase real estate without having to use your credit, without having to have your employer called by different banks, all the things. So today's episode, we are going to be jumping into why would a seller even want you to take over their mortgage? What incentive do they have in us coming in and taking over their mortgage payment so that they can move somewhere else? We're going to get right into it. Okay, so I'm going to break it down to you. So in 2020, when COVID hit, many people were affected by the pandemic and people lost their jobs. Businesses went under, and many begged the question, am I going to be able to continue to pay my bills or not? And so many people found themselves in a situation where they did lose their job and they were not able to continue their monthly mortgage payment. So what a lot of people did was they did a loan modification. So let me explain to you really quick what a loan modification is. Your mortgage company, if you have an FHA traditional loan, your mortgage company will allow you to do a loan modification where they take the amount of money that you owe, and they would do a loan modification to have their, first of all, to have their payment amount reduced and to give them a cushion, maybe like 2 or 3 months, where they wouldn't have to pay their mortgage payment while their loan modification was being created, right? But a lot of the times after the loan modification, some people still were not able to keep up those monthly mortgage payments. And so when you ask, well, why would somebody allow you or allow me to take over their mortgage payment? So these are the reasons. Reason number one is they can't afford it anymore. They cannot afford their monthly payment, and if they continue to default on that monthly mortgage payment, they're going to go into foreclosure. Nobody wants a foreclosure on their record. So that is one reason why when somebody like me comes along and says, hey, let me take over that mortgage, it is a benefit to the seller because now they're not having to live up to that obligation anymore. So if we take over their mortgage payment, this now gives them the ability to go find a place that is less expensive so that they can begin to just live more comfortably and not have to live with the anxiety of bills constantly piling up, right? Okay. So that's one reason why somebody would allow us to take over their mortgage. Another reason is many people who just purchase a property and they don't have a whole lot of equity yet, they'll get into a property and realize that this property really isn't the property for them, but because they just got there, they just bought the property, there's no equity in it. So if they sold it right now, they wouldn't make any money. They'd actually end up owing the bank money. And so how does somebody in that situation be able to move on without having to carry this burden of this mortgage debt with them? Well, subject to, I would come in and I could take over that mortgage, that brand new mortgage that they just got. I could take that over and then they could go and find them another place to live. And so it really gives you the option to say, hey, I don't want to live here anymore, but I also don't want to sell it on the market because I don't want to owe the bank. But this option is actually a very viable option that works for me. And so that's number two reason why somebody would want us to take over their mortgage. Let's say that you bought a house. You've been living in that house for several years and now you're ready to relocate. You're ready to relocate, but the market isn't all that great, so you really can't sell your house and get a profit. And so you contact us and we will take over that monthly mortgage payment so that you can go relocate and move to another city or move to another country or do what it is that you would like to do. And so I'll give you an example. So there was this guy who, him and his wife owned this property, and he lost his job, she didn't have a job, and they stopped making the mortgage payment. After a couple of months of not being able to make the payment, they had a notice on their door that their property was due to be foreclosed on in an auction in the following weeks. And neither of them knew what to do. They tried to come up with the money. They tried to ask family and friends for money, but none of their efforts were profitable because they still weren't able to come up with it. And so they got to a point where they started to lose hope and they were going to just let the foreclosure happen. But they were introduced to an investor who had told them that he could purchase their property, take over their monthly mortgage payment, pay back any arrears that they currently owe the mortgage company, and also put some cash in their pocket so that way they didn't have to walk away empty-handed. So this young couple who was about to go through foreclosure, who was about to have their credit ruined, who were broke, now have somebody coming in to take over their monthly payment. They have somebody here to catch up those arrears, and they have a little extra money in their pocket so that they can move to a different place. And so when the sellers realized that this was such a better option than the options that they thought they had, they too started to research, well, what is this subject to? Like, how were they able to buy our house like this? Like, if we can get another house and just take over somebody else's mortgage, then the sting of us having to move right now isn't so bad. And so that same individual actually ended up doing some research, finding out how to find deals of his own, and later on was able to purchase another property the same exact way that he was able to sell his, and he was able to take over somebody's mortgage payment that was a lot less expensive than the current mortgage payment that he had. So, I mean, this just goes to say that there are so many different ways to accomplish a task. You just have to stop telling yourself that I can't do this and start to asking yourself, how can I do this? Okay? All right, I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's episode. I look forward to seeing you in the comments. Make sure that you are liking and subscribing. Hit me up on Instagram at H.E.R H.E.R Stubbs, and same thing on my Facebook. It's always great to see you guys. Leave those comments down in the chat. Tell me what you guys want to see. What topics do you want me to go over? What exit strategies do you want to see? And we'll make it happen. All right, you guys, we'll see you next week. Bye.